Hey guys, and welcome back to my newest video on, it's going to be on Duke Nukem Forever. Has it aged well after freaking 14 years after it's been released? To put it shortly, no. And here's why. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to address all of the common complaints that people had about this game, and then I'm going to point out as to what exactly the flaws are. Has any of it aged well over time? And basically to see if, if it has aged basically well decently over time. And basically for the most part, I can confidently say no, it hasn't. So most of the complaints now are fucking still in effect. And I'm just gonna break down some of the more common complaints, and then I'm gonna talk about the story and the character design, all that other stuff. So first off, the number one complaint I believe was the health related. Uh, it was health related. It was basically the one where it was an ego boost in a way. It's okay. So basically, it behaved like the freaking Halo shield from it basically behaved like the shield from Halo. Nobody liked that because people would rather prefer to just look for health packs like in the Duke Nukem 3D video game or in Duke Nukem Manhattan Project. It doesn't even matter if it's fucking first person shooter, side scroller. I think almost every Duke Nukem game created had some sort of object that you could pick up and touch to get your health back. Unfortunately for Duke Nukem Forever, that's not the case. So that was I remember that being a huge complaint because then fucking Duke's ego behaves exactly like the Halo shields, and it's just fucking annoying and repetitive. Basically, if your health is too damn low, you have to wait behind cover for, I'm guessing, not I guess, maybe like a few seconds or so, and then you have to wait slowly for it to come back up again, go back to max. And that said, you could also interact with certain objects to increase your ego. So to basically increase your health meter by a certain amount. And depending on which object you interact with is going to either increase you by a little bit or by significantly more. And yeah, it's just not a good system. It's a very heavily criticized system for a reason because it's fucking stupid. And for a first-person shooter like Duke Nukem Forever, you would not expect it. Not at all, especially with Duke Nukem 3D, like as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have this system. And I don't think any of the other Duke Nukem games ever had this type of system before. So that just goes to show, if it isn't fucking broken, don't fix it to begin with. Second of all, two weapon limit. That is another huge complaint that I remember very fondly. I had the same complaint too. It is one of the dumbest, it's one of the stupidest, most dumbed down fucking things about the video game. So you mean to tell me that in a game that was fucking almost 20 years older than DNF, you could hold up to 10 weapons. You had 10 weapons to choose from, including the Mighty Foot, which you cannot even use in this fucking game. And you're telling me that the game that's significantly older than DNF, they had more weapons to choose from than a fucking newer game that's from 2011. That doesn't make any logical sense in this day and age. It does not make any sense at all. And again, this isn't fucking Halo. You don't have to turn DNF into a fucking Halo copy all of a sudden. I know Gearbox and 2K games, no, mainly Gearbox, yeah, and 2K were working on this, and there were some other companies involved too. But for the love of God, can you people please not copy and paste these fucking mechanics into some other games that never had this mechanic to begin with? It's just fucking stupid and annoying, and it makes no sense. Idiotic, absolutely idiotic. So that's another complaint. I believe another one was the character design. Was it the character? No, it was the stages, actually. some of the stages are just fucking awful. They're not that great in design. Like the Lady Killer Casino was a pretty good one. The Ghost Town was a pretty good one. And I think maybe one or two others were pretty good as well. But some of them are just not that great. Especially in the beginning. The intro gives you a really, really bad, like, what do you call it? It gives you a really bad introduction to the game, basically, because you have to wait at least over 10 minutes to kill a damn enemy in that game. And take Duke Nukem 3D, for example. Somebody has set a timer on the side, and you fucking encounter the very first enemy in like mere seconds. That's it. It doesn't take long at all. And in this fucking game, it takes over 10 minutes until you fight your very first enemy, which is stupid as all hell. It's slow as hell. It completely kills the mood, which it's basically supposed to be very fast paced because that was the whole point of Duke Nukem to begin with. I believe is a very fast paced game for a reason. And it drops the character into action right away because you want to kill the alien bastards that shot up your ride and kidnapped the chicks on planet Earth, and you want to rescue them. So basically, that was the whole premise, and they just fucking ruined it. They just ruined it with that fucking slow-ass introduction with the president and the general. It was so fucking bad. I could not. I literally could not wait. I was so impatient to get through that fucking scene. It was completely unnecessary. Just open the damn doors or open the environment up a bit so that the player can at least explore while they wait for this part to end, because I understand what they're doing here, because it's supposed to explain part of the story that's important. But if you explain it in a way to where your character's limited to exploration, which is the polar opposite of Duke Nukem 3D, by the way, is just very infuriating and very annoying, and nobody wants to play it as an end result if it's going to be very slow paced. So yeah, there's that too. And there's also the very what else is there? Level design, character design. I think the character design is meh. Duke is very stiff when he fucking jumps. Like upper half of his body doesn't move at all, but his legs move, and it's just weird. The alien designs, they look fine. They look fine to me. I don't have any complaints there about the alien designs. But oh yeah, the AI, right. The AI was another complaint I remember. Some of the AI in the game was so fucking dumb. For example, the pig cops, they always run towards you so you can get your shots in with the shotgun if you have that weapon in your possession, which is a very good weapon in this game. And it has some sort of significant impact to it with the sound effects and the way it just blows your enemies backwards with the recoil and all that stuff. Shotgun's a good weapon for the pig cops. And apparently the pig cops are just apparently stupid enough to run into you anyway. They run towards you. They don't take cover. Some of them don't. Some of them with weapons don't, at least. The ones with weapons, they do take cover. So that's what I've noticed. But yeah, there's that too. So got that covered. Some of the AI is stupid. They just stand there and shoot you. They don't try to take cover. They don't move around. They don't try to take cover. They don't try to dodge your attacks, your melee hits, or whatever. They sometimes teleport like the troopers. But other than that, I mean, they try to avoid some stuff at a certain point, but some of them, like the pig cops, they just run straight towards you and they fucking just willingly die, I guess. So some of the AI is bad. Some of the AI programming, I should say. But yeah, I think that's everything. I think those are the biggest complaints so far. If I'm missing any other ones. Graphics, right, graphics. The graphics are fucking horrible. I'm just gonna say that flat out, straight up, right now. These are probably some of the worst graphics I've ever seen for a fucking first-person shooter. Let me just say that right now. It's actually impressive with how bad it is. Because you wait... Oh yeah, long loading screens. I forgot to mention that too. Loading screens take forever. For the Xbox 360 port, the one I have... That's the one I have. It takes at least 30 seconds or something like that. 20, 30 seconds. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. It should not take that long. Grand Theft Auto made 3 years prior did not take that long in comparison. So I find that to be ridiculous as well, especially with a game that has worse textures than a game from 2008. Two different genres of games, two completely different genres. Let me point that out real quick. And yet GTA 4 is still somehow faster than fucking Duke Nukem Forever from 2011 regarding load times. That's actually unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. But yeah, anyway, yeah, horrible graphics. They aged horrendously, and everything looks like it's the buildings and all the other everything that has textures, really bad ones. It looks like it looks diarrhea-ish. Horrible. And yeah, I can confidently say that 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 has aged extremely poorly. And also the loading screens suck and the graphics are bad. I think that's everything now that I've covered. Like the biggest complaints for the game. And yeah, there were some what else is I gonna say? Right, the story. I guess I can just go on with the story. There's really not much to say. I mean, the beginning is slow, and then some of the levels are not that great in design. Some of them are just fucking tedious as all hell. They test the player's patience, basically. They basically have you basically forcefully try to make you open up the environment a little bit more so that you can get to some certain items, so that you complete certain objectives. And it's just fucking annoying at a certain point in the fucking game. And it's just so annoying at a certain point. I understand that in the older game you had to use certain weapons or you had to use explosives to access certain areas of the game, but let me tell you something. When you have to forcefully do something and in order to complete a certain objective, it's just taking the fun out of the game. Because for a fact that when you go back to this game now, you will see just how closed off everything is. And it's just so poorly executed, so poorly done, and I really don't like it. And in some certain events, in some certain levels, you are exposed to gunfire. So you need to find cover quick, like for the alien ship, that little alien ship that you gotta fight. I'm not talking about the mothership either from the beginning. I'm talking about the other small one at the construction site where you have to get the battery to power up the crane. That one is super fucking annoying. But I think three shots from the RPG that will take it down eventually. I think three, four, five shots, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It's been a little over a year since I last played the game, and yeah, to be honest, it's not a fun game. It's easily the worst game I have in my collection. Either that or Forza Horizon 2, one of those two. But yeah, okay. So the story, you start off with with some sort of nice throwback to the stadium from episode 3, Shrapnel City, and with the showdown with the Cycloid Emperor, the infamous scene where you kick the motherfucker's eyeball out. And yeah, that's a decent intro, and then cut that out, and then you're introduced to the Wholesome Twins, yada yada yada, and then you got to go down to talk to some show host, and then after that, you beat up somebody that's disrespecting somebody else behind the whatever that area you call where you go back and you get ready for set or studio set, whatever, with the basically where the celebrities come out and get introduced, and then they shake the celebrity's hand and then they sit down and that's it. Anyway, that, and then the story is basically that after 12 years the aliens want to invade Earth again to steal the women and kidnap women and stuff, and it's up to Duke to save the day again. And throughout all that, you get to meet some interesting characters like Captain Dillon, and then, of course, the General, which you have seen from the older trailers from the 2000s or the 90s. And honestly, it's so fucking disappointing in comparison. Like, to the trailer, I mean, it just reminds me the trailer was so fucking disappointing in comparison to the 2000s and 90s one. You had a bunch of interesting characters there that are not present in this game. So you remember that farmer that was, I think, in the 90s trailer or the 2000s one? He's not there. So that's just a waste of a character. God, why did they have to cut this? I don't know. But fucking Gearbox or somebody was responsible for this bullshit. And yeah, so anyway, the general tells you that the aliens are trying to create some sort of wormhole near Hoover Dam, and you have to intercept that before, they blow shit up. And then if I remember correctly, yeah, I think that's pretty much the entire premise of this fucking story. You basically have to stop the aliens from destroying planet Earth and from unleashing some sort of destructive, not a destructive thing, but more like a wormhole to spawn more enemies from, if I'm not mistaken. And basically from that, you piss off the president because you get involved with this war because the fucking aliens are attacking you in the first place. So I don't know why the fuck this dumbass president is even pissed at Duke in the first place when they fucking shot at him before he shot at them. Idiotic president. I'm so fucking happy he died. But anyway, the first objective was to basically plant, I think, go to Captain Dillon so he can take you to the Duke Dome, and then from there on in, you can go to the fucking hive where you need to kill the queen bitch that's basically had aliens and octobrains and all that shit, the ones that stole all the women, and they're using them for breeding and all that shit, and you have to kill her and kill the octobabies, kill octobrains. Don't use the RPG, by the way. They'll shoot your rockets back at you, so it's better to use a pipe bomb. And yeah, you kill that queen bitch, and then Duke has some sort of fucking flashback, or no, not a flashback, a dream about him being in a strip club or whatever. So that mission's just kind of a throwaway. There's not much point to it other than to get ego boosts, I think, by playing certain sports. Not sports, arcade games and stuff like that, card games, all that jazz. So after that's over, Duke wakes up. He missed out on a lot regarding the general and the president talking about negotiating with the Cycloid Emperor on some sort of stupid-ass peace treaty, some sort of agreement or negotiation that they don't fucking kill each other, which obviously is not going to happen. And yeah. So then it's up to Duke again to get to the Duke. He goes to the Duke Burger, and then from there on in, he goes to I can't remember where he goes to after the Duke Burger, but I do remember he eventually gets his hands on the monster truck, like the toy that the RC toy that you drove at the beginning of the game. Yeah, that's gonna be there too, that monster truck, but the controls are kind of awkward. And then he needs to go and navigate some sort of abandoned mine area to get some more gasoline. Why? That's another question. Why can't Duke just carry more than one jerry can so he doesn't run out of fucking gas all the time in his monster truck? Why? I don't know. It's fucking illogical though. How Duke cannot carry one fucking more than one gas jerry can is beyond me. Anyway, so yeah, he navigates that area, gets more gas, fights more aliens, causes some destruction. He goes back to the monster truck to get to the dam to put an end to the plans of the aliens, whatever they're trying to do, which is create this fucking wormhole. And then it's a showdown with the Cycloid Emperor. And with that, the president dies because he's a fucking naive idiot. And I'm so glad he's out of there because he was such an asshole. He treated Duke horribly, to say the least. For ironic from somebody that hasn't made much of an appearance. Yeah. So the final showdown with the Cycloid Emperor is there. Of course, Duke kills him, and then he pisses in his eye, in the hole where his eye is, and then the general and Duke retreat and get out. They get out of they get off the planet, I'm assuming, or they get out of the country, and there's a nuke There's a nuke that goes off because the aliens are invading, and they want to wipe them all out, basically. So there's that. And of course, we come to the infamously shitty ending that even Duke himself trashes. What kind of shit ending is that? I ain't dead. I'm coming back for more. That ending. The ending that everybody hated because because Duke was listed as KIA, which is stupid because we know for a fact he survived after that explosion. And then Duke said he's going to try to run for president, and there you go. The world is saved again from Duke, and that's the end. I was going to say also that you had to kill off a leech at a dam, or not a leech. It's some big ass worm thing that like it uses electricity somehow, if I'm not mistaken. So you had to destroy that big ass worm thing by shoving a fucking bomb in it, and then you had to use the bomb to like flood the whole area that Duke was previously in, that building, the construction site or whatever it was. It's not that important because this story is not exactly the best. The only memorable things I can think of, like I said, were the Queen Bitch, the battle between the Queen Bitch. Some of the Battle Lord fights were kind of repetitive, if you ask me. Basically, they took the same boss and they alternated it a little bit, but it's ultimately the same exact type of fight, but 3 times. Not a single overlord, let me tell you now. Not a single freaking overlord in this game. Why? God only knows. But anyway, they decided to reuse the fucking Battle Lord 3 separate times. And yeah. So some of those fights, the first one was actually kind of funny. Not really ha funny, but it was kind of funny because you had to circle around a blown up area of a parking lot or whatever it used to be, and then that's where you fought the Battle Lord, the first one. And then the funny thing is you get to punch the guy in the nuts as a finisher move, and then shove his own horns in his eyeballs. So that was pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, instead of coming up with like 3 good separate fights, they instead recycled the same fights 3 fucking times. That's fucking unacceptable, dude. 3 Battle Lords. 3 Battle Lords, the Queen Bitch, and also the Cycloid Emperor. And also that leech, if you really want to count it. That leech or worm, that big-ass worm, before you fight the Cycloid Emperor. That's another one, but I don't know if I really want to count that one, because it really doesn't add anything much to the invasion or whatever. At least with the Cycloid Emperor, he's like the main boss. He's like the boss of this alien species, of all these different alien species. The fucking Battle Lord is also a noteworthy boss. He's like a sub-boss, weaker than the Overlord, but not, weak in any sense of the way. So there's that. He's not weak. He's a boss of his own, on his own. Same with the Overlord. Same with the Cycloid Emperor. Same with the Queen. Because we remember the Queen from Episode 4 in Duke Nukem 3D. So that makes sense. However, if you reuse the same fucking boss 3 separate times, that's just showing me that you're incompetent regarding creating more bosses for us to fight in this game. You had options. You had the fucking Overlord, for God's sake, and you didn't even put him in here. That's just so disappointing. And speaking of disappointing, some enemies you don't see very often, such like assault commandos, the guys that shoot rockets out of their buttholes. That one you don't see very often. The what is the name of that enemy again with the fucking nose piercing with the chain gun attached to their arm? That guy doesn't appear very often either. And it's kind of disappointing because they look good, and you want to fight them, but problem is they don't show up very often. The Octobrains, they show up a decent amount of times. Same with the troopers, same with the pig cops. So no problems there. Unfortunately, some of the other enemies don't show up very often, which is very disappointing. So yeah, I think I might have covered everything up there is to cover about Duke Nukem Forever. Multiplayer was okay. I mean, the crib stuff was um some of it was cool, some of it was not that cool regarding unlockables and awards from, like, fragging opponents and stuff like that. I mean, it's okay, but the problem is it's too okay. You know what I mean? It's so okay that it's not exactly the most memorable thing, if that makes any sense. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover in this review. And basically, to summarize everything that I've just said for the past 25 minutes, I'll just say this. No, the game did not age well. The game just aged horrendously. And yeah, it's just a reminder of basically what happens when a game is put in development hell for over a decade, and then the product comes out as basically either below average or mediocre regarding quality. Or no, quality wise it was fucking poor. The graphics sucked. I mean, I just went over that. But yeah, basically it's what you're not supposed to do as a AAA company. Unfortunately, they've just gotten worse and worse over time. So unfortunately, I don't see that changing soon. There are still a small handful of good AAA games out there, but not many. I can tell you that much because I don't pay attention to these newer games. But I heard quite a few of them are bad. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up my review on Duke Nukem Forever, a game that had hype, that had expectations, that people were excited for. The trailers were promising, all that jazz, and unfortunately, it was just undergoing too much development hell, and it turned out very disappointing as an end result. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention one more thing. What happened to Duke's character? In Duke Nukem 3D, you can obviously tell that Duke in that game was kind of a narcissist, but he wasn't a full blown he wasn't a full out asshole because of popularity and stuff like that. He was just a perfect blend of being gritty, but also confident in himself, but also cheesy by spitting out one-liners whenever he kills enemies. In this game, he's straight up fucking egotistical to an extent that people are irritated by, straight up irate. And you know what? It just sucks that they ruined his image like that. It's so fucking unfortunate. Because I love Duke as a character. He's basically a blend of all the cool action heroes we saw back in the 80s or 90s, and he just takes it up a notch by killing a bunch of aliens. And that's what a lot of movies back then did too. There were quite a few movies where the main protagonist kill aliens. So it was a cool idea to have a character where you could play as that kicks a bunch of alien ass for a living and protects the world. It gives you that sense of power and confidence and stuff like that. And it's also very good serotonin boost, if you ask me. So yeah, it's really unfortunate they ruined his image like that. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up my review on Duke Nukem Forever and regarding whether it has aged poorly or decently. My answer still, it has aged pretty poorly. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up my video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, remember to keep on gaming, because it's addicting, because it's fun, and because it's very nostalgic.